I love cowards in anime. Something about a pathetic little mess of a character finally overcoming their fears, grappling with their hesitance to take action, to finally get their lick back on a seemingly unbeatable villain. Dude, that's the stuff anime greatness is made of. Once we're introduced to these cowardly archetype characters, we almost automatically begin to wonder, when will this character break free of the mental blocks that hold them back? When will they get their moment to shine? And when we do, these hero moments are some of the most memorable scenes of basically any anime I can think of. Chilchuck is Delicious in Dungeon's resident rogue, a cynical thief put here on God's green earth to balance Laios and Marcel's golden retriever energy and Senchi's calm optimism with being a total and complete downer, the honest-to-goodness voice of reason. The reality is the dungeon's perilous, they're broke, the resource situation is dire, the chance of success seemed low to begin with, and now, with the stakes increasing from Red Dragon to Mad Mage to the entire dungeon itself, well, the stakes don't even seem like they're in the same dungeon delving universe. Chilchuck isn't a coward in the same way that a character like Usopp, Deku, or Gohan is a coward. While other cowardly trope characters are usually used for comedic effect, with their building in action meant to frustrate us until the eventual release of tension, where we realize that this character has changed and grown and overcome whatever hang-ups they're dealing with, Chilchuck is just instead matter-of-factly not interested in dying. His cowardice isn't fear per se, it's more of a business decision. Chilchuck's about self-preservation in a way that opposes Laios' foolhardy, read dumb, action hero moments, and Marcel's willingness to experiment in magic that even she has some doubts about. But being annoyed by the circumstances of the fiction is kind of just an endearing character trait to have. Dude just doesn't want to do more than the bare minimum for his day job. Overtime? No thanks, bro. Chilchuck isn't trying to be rude or ostracize himself from the rest of the party, or come across as an overly winking and nodding fourth wall breaking kind of character. He's just unwilling to risk his own life for the idiot whims of his party. If you play D&D or if you're a tank or support main trying to babysit your DPS, then you can probably relate. It's no shade to the rest of your team, but sometimes you just have to know putting your life on the line isn't worth the trouble. One of Dungeon Meshi's biggest strengths is the casual banter and interactions between characters, especially in the manga, and just how, well, realistic it is to a group of friends. We all have the friend who's a little dour, a little optimism challenged, and if you don't know who it is in your friend group, I have some bad news for you. But we all have someone we know is a Laios, someone who's a Marcel, and of course, someone who is a Chilchuck. In the context of this party, this group of adventurers, it works perfectly. Like the rest of the cast of Dungeon Meshi, Chilchuck's past and his entire life outside of this adventure is obscured, not only to the other characters, but to us as viewers. We initially have no idea who these characters are, which cleverly allows the show to run wild with subverting what we think we know about them. Laios is just about the furthest thing from a generic human fighter as possible, and that's by design. So who is this sardonic little kid hanging around with the adults? Why does he matter? Does he have a bedtime? Where are his parents? This is so mean. Chilchuck, Marcel, and Senchi serve to show that fantasy races are very much a thing in this world, with Chilchuck specifically being the halfling, hobbit, short little dude variant. Just like the human fighter and elven mage are fantasy stereotypes, Chilchuck's here to walk away from the light and represent the dark side of fantasy. The criminal underbelly, if you will.
Stop right there, criminal scum!
That's right. He's a halfling rogue. Being a thief and a seasoned dungeoneer, Chilchuck provides some real utility to a team that they might not have had otherwise. Every character in the cast has their own specialty, and Chilchuck's is typical rogue fare, picking locks, shooting shots, or something. I don't know, it sounded right when I said it, shut up. Chilchuck's utility is maneuvering the dungeon, opening doors, dodging mimics, and coming in clutch when there's traps, poisons, and other situational hazards. Like, seriously, imagine Laios trying to deal with disarming traps. It just wouldn't end well for anyone. Maybe one of the best instances of Chilchuck's on-the-fly style of problem-solving is in the giant frog episode, where Chilchuck, upon realizing that the frogs and the tentacles have some sort of natural resistance to each other, goes and makes very crude gloves, something which Laios can later iterate upon with the amazing frog suits. But it's just sort of this split decision kind of intuition that Chilchuck approaches problem-solving in the dungeon, which isn't to say he doesn't think things through, but he's more willing to go off the cuff than Senshi or Marcel, and more willing to be grounded in realistic solutions than Laios. This really does even out the party in a real everyman sort of way. Instead of solving problems through magic or encyclopedic knowledge of monsters in the dungeon around him, Chilchuck looks at the facts, the tangibles around him, and tries to make things work. The thief with a heart of gold trope is hardly a new concept in fiction. Stealing from the rich, giving to the needy is like medieval lit 101. Thieves and bandits and guilds with complicated ulterior motives and political machinations are things that set fantasy plots into motion. The thing is, we don't necessarily get that with Chilchuck. His reasons are his reasons alone. Even if he does have a bit of a soft spot, he's not exactly running a charity over here, nor is he working under any shadowy thieves guild umbrella. When he's mentioned by other characters outside the party, like during Kabru's detective arc episode, we see for the first time that he has a reputation for being about his money, but if he has money, we certainly don't see it. As far as we know, Chilchuck is just as adventuring class broke as the rest of the party. So we have a character disinterested in combat, only in it for the money, but why? What's the motive? What's going on here? Well, that comes with maybe one of the biggest character reveals of the entire series. Chilchuck is a father? What? Okay. Suddenly, it all kind of clicks. Chilchuck's obsession with self-preservation is to survive this dungeon for the people he has at home. His own father's death, which is touched on in dialogue, serves to reinforce this. He can't die here. He has things to do, people to take care of. The money isn't for him, it's to provide a better life for his children above the dungeon, or at least to make his island lord mandated child support payments. This reveal also completely and hilariously flips our preconceived notions of the dynamic of the party's interactions on their head. Chilchuck has a bit of a tempestuous relationship with the rest of the cast. He's constantly bickering with Marcel, outwardly annoyed by Laios, and exhausted by Izutsumi. But this isn't the case of rifts between a tight-knit friend group like we thought. It's an exasperated adult man dealing with being stuck with a bunch of rambunctious fantasy teenagers. Now, I don't know if the divorced dad thing is a meme or not, but Chilchuck certainly seems like it. If not in his usual form, then definitely in his human form. When the main cast is race swapped thanks to the Changeling Circle, Chilchuck's human form is just exactly what you'd expect. Haggard, unshaven, hungover. Honestly, if you have something derogatory to say, it probably applies. Not only is this a hilarious look at what Chilchuck actually might look translated into a tall man race, but it cleverly aligns with what, at this point in the story, we know Chilchuck to be. Chilchuck isn't the little brat of the party, he's the sick of your shit old man completely over this whole scenario, and that reframes everything. And it's not just a reframe in the comedic sense either. It's easy to see that Chilchuck's stern sarcasm comes from a place of genuine care. He gives Marcel grief not in a mean way, but in a I know you're better than this way. He knows what she's capable of. He goes out of his way to make Izutsumi, the youngest in the party, feel comfortable and welcomed because, well, he's a dad and you just can't turn that off. Ultimately, I have no idea where Chilchuck's story goes past this first season. Will he get his hero moment? Will there be a time where he truly overcomes his cynical, cowardly nature and makes a decision based on emotion to save his friends later on? Will he get a hype combat moment that we never would have expected? Do we meet Chilchuck's family, or do they remain a subtle, off-screen motivation for him? There's a ton of questions I have for the rest of the story, and I can't wait to see what happens. If I'm writing Chilchuck, I'd have him come in clutch in a moment nobody's expecting, going against everything we think we know about this character to do the right thing when it matters. That's because I think, above everything else, the thing that makes Chilchuck heroic is that he never leaves. Despite everything, despite how easy it would be to return to the surface, despite the impossible odds, he's here to see the mission through to its conclusion. He's here to save Fallon. When push comes to shove, he'll shoot that shot. He'll eat that monster, and he'll be there when you need him. And it's not just for money. Unless... And that's everything. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video, and thank you for all the continued support on this channel. I just hit 1 million lifetime views, and it's something that man, I never even could have dreamed of a year ago, which is crazy to think of. So again, thank you guys. And if you want to show your support for the channel and just let me know that you like what I'm doing and want me to make more videos, you can check out my Patreon or become a YouTube channel member. There's some perks over on my Patreon, like watch-alongs of all the anime that I talk about, as well as manga read-throughs. I've done Delicious in Dungeon, of course. We're working through Frieren, and I've read all of Witch Hat Atelier. This is probably the last of the Dungeon Meshi character analysis videos, at least until season 2 when I have a little bit more to work with. But I'd still like to explore other topics and themes of the show. What would you guys like me to cover? Leave a comment with maybe a character, theme, a specific thing about the show that you'd like me to talk about, and maybe I'll get around to it at some point. But anyway, I am just blabbing at this point. Thank you guys so much, and until next time.